Hi, I'm John Mortensen, owner and operator of PetDoorStore.com, and today I'm going to show you the SureFlap Microchip cat door line, cat and dog door I should say. So let's get started. This is their original product, the SureFlap Microchip Cat Door. This is installed on a piece of wood here just to make it kind of a display model. The way this works is there is a rigid flap and a pin that pops up on the inside. So if the stray tries to push the flap, it hits the pin and it won't open. If you have a stuffed animal with a microchip, or hopefully a cat or a dog with a microchip, they get in there and the door unlocks and they can use it just fine. Now this is a really durable, reliable, inexpensive pet door, and we love it. It does have a little weakness though, and that's why they came out with the DualScan version of the same door. So it's got a little protrusion on this side and this side here, and the difference is it has a pin that pops up on both sides of the flap. So what was going on with this one is a raccoon, they're smart enough that they would jam their claws underneath the flap and pull it out. And there's actually nothing to prevent this from moving outwards from the inside. So that was a problem. This one is locked in both directions until the animal with the microchip gets in there, and then it opens up. And this works really, really well for raccoons. I don't think we've ever had a raccoon defeat this pet door. It is not very much more expensive than the regular Microchip Cat Flap. But one thing to know about these two is that they are fairly small. The flap dimension, the usable part, is 5 3/4 wide and 4 3/4 tall. Now, I have another video on properly sizing your pet doors, and I used my 13-pound cat, and I went and I found I got a cardboard box and cut a 4-inch by 5-inch hole, and so that's smaller than any pet door flap opening that we have, and she was able to get into that just fine. So I think if you're going to ask me how big a cat can use this, I would say at least 15 pounds. That's kind of my gut feel. But if you feel like your cat is kind of skittish, or if you just don't believe me, if you want to see for yourself, you know, the cardboard box test is pretty simple. Just get a cardboard box, cut a hole 5 3/4 wide, 4 3/4 tall. Don't put it right down at the bottom, because you're not going to install this right at the bottom of your door. Lift it up maybe 4 or 5 inches, and you know, throw your cat's favorite treat in there and see what happens. And I think you'll find that your cat goes right through there. If you have a Maine Coon or another large breed cat, or a small or even medium-sized dog, you can use this pet door version. Now the pet door is a 7-inch wide, 7-inch tall opening. And that might not sound very much bigger, but in their literature, SureCare or SureFlap, they actually show a Cocker Spaniel using this door. So I mean, that's pretty solidly into your medium-sized dog. So and they can use it. So there you go. If you have a small dog and you want an electronic pet door, this is probably going to be your answer. So what's different about this from these other than the size? Well, first thing is it has a curfew function. So you can set the timer on this thing. You can say, okay, after 7 o'clock at night, I only want the pets to come in. And then after 8 o'clock in the morning, you can let them back out. This is obviously useful for cats that you don't want running around at night when there might be coyotes or other animals out there. The other thing it's good for is in the morning time. If you have one of those dogs that you know, you go to work and the dog runs outside and barks for an hour and just your neighbors hate them. Use this to keep your dog in until all of them are at work or school, and then your dog can go out and bark and nobody will care. So that's kind of a nice feature on this one. It locks like this one. It has a lock that pops up on the inside of the flap, but there is an additional mechanism which can be used to prevent raccoons from getting in. They call it the Intruder Mode, and the way this works is from the inside going out, it swings open. So you would think that this would be, you know, raccoon prone, just like this other one is. But if you have an animal without a chip that approaches the door, actually engage the lock, so I have to wait for a minute. Okay, there, it just unlocked. So if an animal comes from the outside and approaches the door and hits it, it'll actually engage an exterior lock. So now it can't be pulled out from the outside. So does it work? How good is it? Well, they put this door in a zoo enclosure and trained raccoons to use it. And that was how they got to their food. After they were used to it, then they put it in raccoon mode, and the raccoons couldn't get into it. So that's a pretty strong test as far as I'm concerned. I have had one customer who called up and said, raccoons defeated this. And she ended up getting one of these and said that it worked for her. But the story is kind of interesting, so I'll explain to you how this worked. I guess the one raccoon came in real low and reached up and pushed the little locks down. And the other one reached over his back and pulled the flap up. So if you think that you've got, you know, the A-team of raccoons in your neighborhood, maybe this one wouldn't work, and maybe you go with this one. But again, it's probably more important on the size. And if you don't have any gigantic cats, then this one will work, and this one is apparently a little bit better in that respect. Never had a raccoon get into this one, and just once on that one. Okay, so what's this glowy thing over here? This is it's called the Kinect. So this is the new version of the pet door. And I don't have the regular version of the pet door to show with this one because they are identical with the exception of the little Kinect mark on the top thing here. But they are different in that this one works with the hub and the non-Kinect version does not work with the hub. So what does the hub do? Well, the hub wirelessly connects to the pet door, and it allows you to change settings on the pet door from your phone. Okay, so you download the phone app, and it'll actually tell you which pets are outside and which pets are inside. You can change settings on the locks for each pet. So you can say, you know, after 7 o'clock at night, I want Scruffy to come in and not go back outside. Fluffy, on the other hand, can continue to stay out until 10 o'clock at night, and then I want her to come in and stay in. So you can set those settings independently for each pet. And then it also has a reporting function where it will print out like not print, but it'll send you like a spreadsheet that shows when your pets are using it, and if you want to share that report with a vet, hopefully, or maybe you just think everybody on Facebook wants to know what your pets are doing, or Instagram, you can actually share that publicly if you feel the need. So there you go. So that's the Kinect, and again, you do need the Kinect version of the door to work with the hub. One thing I was kind of disappointed about is, you know, you got a wireless connection here, but the hub itself needs to be connected with an Ethernet cable to your internet. So you'll have to have this mounted close to the modem itself, or a switch or a hub where you can get an Ethernet cable connected to the hub. The range on this is about 30 feet. So, you know, if you have your modem on one side of the house and where you want to install the pet door is all the way on the other side of the house, you're gonna have to figure something out there. You might have to use you can use a wireless switch, so you have, you know, the modem plugged into the switch on one end of the house, have another switch on the other end of the house, and then plug from the switch into that. So that's something you can buy from your local electronics store if you need it. Okay, so let's talk about accessories. This door will fit any surface from basically sheet metal thickness all the way out to 2 3/4 inches without any accessories whatsoever. They do have these tunnel extensions for wall installations. Now the tunnels just kind of plug onto the end. They are not securely on here. They just kind of plug on. So this is something I'm not real happy with. What they want you to do is take a piece of masking tape or duct tape and tape the tunnel onto the original here. So it's a little bit on the cheesy side, but it does work. The tape's going to be on the outside of the tunnel, so you won't see it from the inside. I wish they had done it a different way. I wish it kind of clipped on more securely. Anyway, you can stack these things out as far as you need, and then on the outside, your pet door plugs on. There's usually some extra hanging out here. Now you can trim these extra tunnels. You cannot trim the built-in tunnel on the door itself because there's electronics in there and you're going to mess everything up. But if you don't trim it, or I guess regardless of whether you trim it, the other kind of not so great thing about these is they want you to take a sheet metal screw and screw through the top of the tunnel and into the pet door frame in order to attach this. So, you know, it's not perfect, but it's probably easier than building a wood tunnel, which is your other solution for installation into a wall. Another accessory is their adapters, these mounting adapters. You get one for each side of the surface that you're mounting to, and what these do is they allow you to cut, instead of a square hole that's just slightly bigger than the flap opening here, you can cut this larger round hole. So this allows you to kind of spread the load out on a thin surface like sheet metal or thin plywood. They do actually say you can use this on glass too, and a round cut in glass has no stress risers for you technical people out there. So that's a lot better way to do it than cutting corners into glass. I'm not a big fan of installing these in glass. You can do it, and I'll tell you the main problem here is that door glass in the United States since about the mid-70s or so is always tempered. Tempered glass is what they call safety glass. If you try to cut it, it shatters into a million little pieces. So do not try to cut your tempered door glass. The other thing is, if you're doing this in a window, most windows these days are dual pane. Now the manufacturer actually shows cutting the hole in both panes of glass and then putting a little seal in there to seal it up. I'm not convinced that that would work. If you are familiar with the way the glass is built, they use an aluminum spacer between the two panes of glass, and they use this heavy-duty sealant to seal it up. If you put something in there that isn't sealed 100%, what's going to happen is that as the temperature changes, you'll get condensation in between. So they say the glass sweats. So you'll have all these little, foggy little droplets on the inside between the two panes of glass, and that's no fun. So I'm not convinced that you should put it in double pane glass, but they say you can. But if you have single pane glass in a window and not a door, and you want to install this thing, cut the round hole, use the adapter, and there you go. They also say use the adapter for wall installations. I just don't think it's necessary at all. And lastly, they say that you can use it when you're installing this into a metal door. Now I took this particular door, as a matter of fact, and I installed it into a window pet door. And I'll link the video down below too. And it worked just fine. So it's an aluminum frame window pet door, and just plugged in, and it just happened to fit right into the existing hole. It was really cool, and it worked 100%. My cat was using it, everything was fine. But they say that if you're going to use this in an aluminum or a metal surface, you should use the adapter. The reason why is you can cut the hole larger, and you can get the pet door, which is sensitive to metal surfaces, farther away from the actual edge of the metal surface of the door. So right after I did that, right after I installed this into the window unit, I had a customer call me and say, I want to install it on an aluminum door, is it going to work? And I said, I just installed it directly into an aluminum pet door for a window, and it worked 100%, it was just fine. So she bought it, put it in, didn't work. She then called back, she got some adapters, cut the hole bigger, didn't work. She ended up having to cut a larger hole and get a non-electronic pet door, and was pretty disappointed, and I understand why. So I'm not really sure what makes it work in one case and not the other, but I would say it's kind of a coin toss. So if you're feeling lucky, maybe do that, and if you're not feeling lucky, then maybe opt for one that's not an RFID. If you really have to have it for the raccoons, one thing that you could do is, if the adapter doesn't work, you could use a larger, instead of using this round adapter, you could use like a piece of plywood or something and make the hole a lot bigger so that the pet door frame was that much further removed from the metal door frame, and that might make it work. It's kind of tough to say. I haven't really done a lot of experimentation in that regards. So, and the last thing is key. Now, the larger pet door size comes with a key, because I think they assume that you're going to use it for a small dog. These two do not come with keys. If you have a cat that uses keys and you prefer to have the keys than to have your cat implanted with the microchip, you can buy these separately. They're not expensive, and they will operate all of these doors. So this one comes with one, this one comes with none. And I think that is about it. If you have any questions, you can always get me at 866-377-3667. Email is sales@petdoorstore.com. The chat function on the website, if you hit that thing and you get a response, that's me. So I try to be available as much as I can, and I'll link those other videos that I mentioned in the comments below. And thanks for taking the time to watch.